Welcome to the Ford Steelers Extra Point.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome inside the KDKA TV studios following a dramatic win for the Steelers today down in Baltimore, 27-22. We are here to recap. We're here to give you interviews, analysis, and then your phone calls. Bob Pompeani joined by Hoke Bro 76, Chris Hoke. And man, what a game. So many plays to break down, but it looked like Baltimore had the lead on a touchdown pass to Isaiah Likely. And you got to give Joey Porter Jr. credit. He did not give up on that and knocked it away. I thought it was a touchdown.
Yeah.
But they looked at it and said they didn't complete the catch. Amazing turn of events.
Well, listen, I went into this halftime thinking, okay, are the Steelers going to give up this halftime lead for the fifth time to a quality opponent this year? And it looked that way to the very end. The Steelers defense came up big on the last two drives. It was a big stop in the red zone. The defense has stopped the Ravens. And then there with a walk-off sack by Alex Highsmith to win this game, Bob.
No question about it. The Steelers had been reeling 2-5 in their last 7. They needed a win. First time head-to-head against the Ravens, and now, by virtue of that, they move ahead of Baltimore into the 4th seed as a division leader. And what made it better today is that Cincinnati, which had a big lead on Buffalo, end up losing that game, so they're now 4-9. And you think it's pretty much the Steelers control their own destiny with 4 games left.
They absolutely control their own destiny, and they get another game with the Ravens. So that I just think that last game of the season against the Ravens is going to be a big one. The Steelers have to keep taking care of business. They can't be inconsistent. They've lost the last 2 games, Bob. They come into this game and win, and they've got to keep this going because if not, the Ravens will take them over.
We have a lot to do, including Mike Tomlin's press conference. We have player interviews, analysis, and much more coming up. We're just getting started. Thanks for joining us as the Steelers take over sole possession of the AFC North. They did it down at M&T Bank Stadium, 27-22, your final score. We'll be back with reaction to it next, right here on KDKA.
Steelers Extra Point is presented by RE/MAX Select Realty, voted the most trusted agents in real estate.
All right, welcome back. We continue right here live on KDK. Steelers get a win, a much-needed one, 27-22, in a game that had so many ups and downs in it, and it had pass completions in the air over 20 yards. The Steelers, we made a big deal about it for the last couple of weeks. They haven't been able to throw the ball downfield over 20 yards, dating back to beginning of November. Here today, they had 5 of those such plays, including 55 yards right off the bat that set up the first score of this game.
And with an exception of the turnover that they got the ball in the Ravens territory where they went down and scored, they needed those long chunk plays to be able to score. Every single chunk play led to a score in this game. And so the Steelers need to understand that if they want to score, they've got to find a way to push the ball down the field over 20 yards, or we'll see a lot more of what we saw last week. But today it was exciting. Much more efficient with a deep ball. They started that with that first pass of the game to DK Metcalf in double coverage. Great throw by Aaron Rodgers, and that continued throughout this game, Bob.
It certainly did, and we even saw a discount double check over there by Aaron Rodgers.
He looked like a young Aaron Rodgers on that one.
When Fountain of Youth, he was sipping out of it. Let's take a look at the scoring summary from this game today as we await Mike Tomlin's press conference. Steelers had the lead. As I said, at halftime looked pretty good at that point. It was Loop with the field goal, got him on the board. First possession for the Steelers, it resulted in Rodgers with a touchdown after a 55-yarder to Metcalf, Boswell with a 23-yarder, and then Gainwell, 6-yard touchdown. That made it 17-3. Seemed pretty good at that point. They got a late touchdown. Lamar Jackson on a rushing score. They missed the extra point. Boswell counters that with a 28-yarder. Then Jackson to Isaiah Likely. That was the first of what we thought were 2 touchdowns to Likely. Again, that made it 20-16. Steelers came right back. Jalen Warren, and I don't know what happened. That defense for Baltimore was asleep on that play. 38-yard touchdown run to make it 27-16. Loop a couple of more after that. But again, prior to the one, it looked like Likely had a touchdown. It's going to be debated. And we went back and, you look at the Jesse James play. Eventually, they changed that rule a little bit. When you first saw it, you thought touchdown, correct?
I thought touchdown. Listen, every time you slow things down, even the Aaron Rodgers one, I think at first glance, when you see it in real time, you think, oh, that's Ravens ball. You go back and look at it, both knees down. This was a very frustrating game for the Ravens. A lot of things went against them. And you saw, I don't know how Harbaugh's going to sleep tonight, Bob, because there were so many things where they beat themselves or just calls that didn't go in their favor, and they still had a chance to win there at the end of the game. They just couldn't pull it out.
And the Steelers, they won the game, but they still gave up over 200 rushing yards, and that's been a little bit of a problem as this season has gone on. Some games they're come out against Jonathan Taylor, shut him down. They did so against the Bears by and large, but there are other games when they're just allowing teams to run in big chunk yardage.
Yeah, and that's why the Ravens got back into it. They got into what they do best, and they're running the ball against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers can't hold up play for play. I mean, today, again, they had to play 77 plays against this Ravens offense. They ran the ball 40 times. That's a lot. That's a lot of pounding, right? At the halftime, Bob, the Steelers had only given up 73 yards rushing. At the end of the game, 217 yards. That means in the second half, the Ravens ran for 144 yards. And it's very difficult when you have a two-headed monster. Lamar Jackson, you run that read option, or when he scrambles. There were so many times in this game when he was able to scramble and get free when the Steelers thought they had him down, but they only came up with 2 sacks in this game with a blitz from Eccles early in the game. Lamar Jackson, his ability to run and extend plays and be able to move the chains with his legs was the difference in this game.
And to show you what kind of game it was, there were 4 Steelers went off with concussion issues. I mean, that's how hard-hitting it was.
It was a physical game.
It really was, and you'd expect that for what was on the line, which was the AFC North leadership. And right now that belongs to the Steelers, who came in behind them based on tiebreakers. The Ravens had the lead, and if they had won this game, boy, the percentages of them winning the division would have gone way up, as it has for the Steelers now. They are 7-6, Ravens behind them. The Bengals are pretty much done after they lost a game they felt they could have won in Buffalo today, 39-32, I think that final score was. Browns, losers. They're now 3-10. Mike Tomlin is ready to address the media. Let's take you live to Baltimore, Maryland.
In that locker room, it's classic Steelers-Ravens. Unfortunately, maybe a lot of guys go down in the game, but that's kind of been a component of it too. Darnell Washington had a concussion. Malik Harrison had a concussion. Pete had a concussion. Benton had an ankle. He was able to go back. A couple other evals, I think they were able to go back. But it's really kind of indicative of how this game is played, man. Appreciate the efforts. Big win for us, obviously, in a hostile environment. And we'll keep moving. Questions?
Mike, you attacked down the field right off the bat, and you did it in the second half, too. Was it important with some of the second half balls that you got into?
I just think we were in an aggressive posture all day. I just think that's how we got out of bed this morning. That's what's required when you're playing these guys in their venue.
What did you see that made you feel comfortable you could attack them that way?
I just think that's the way we needed to play. We needed to be aggressive. We've just been in here a lot. We're familiar with them in this environment, and that's what's required.
Like, what can you say about the defense? I know it wasn't obviously what you wanted overall, but you did hold tons of 3 field goals.
Man, I'm just appreciative, man. You start having linebackers go down. That period of time when Patrick Green was unavailable to us was uncomfortable. But that's just the component of it. That's why it's the ultimate team game. I'm just appreciative of the collective efforts.
Coach, that likely non-touchdown in the fourth quarter, Joey Porter never gave up on that play. What do you have to say about that?
Just appreciative of the effort. That's just kind of indicative of how the game needs to be played and, be a good example of that.
Mike, can you speak to Alex Highsmith and how he stepped up in some of the big plays he made today?
Man, I thought as the game got thick, you really felt his presence. We're actually coming out of that very last time out, and he turned around, was walking back toward the bench with me. I was like, Alex, what are you doing, man? Get back in there. And I'm thankful that I did because, obviously, man, he made the play today.
Did you think that likely catch was a touchdown when they called it?
I did not. But I know sometimes, in the effort to get it right, they'll signal it a touchdown and give it the benefit of the review. But, no, I didn't think it was a touchdown.
Mike, big day for DK, but he also was a gunner and actually drew a holding penalty on that play. What can you say about his efforts and just showing that versatility as well?
He just brought that approach all week. I think oftentimes game day is indicative of what transpires during the week. I just thought that he had a can-do attitude, man. He was wired all week. He texted me after hours, etc. But I just appreciate his mindset and what he brought into the building today.
Mike, I don't know if you ever get a sense of this, but did you just feel a sense that Aaron was in control the whole game?
I did. But again, we knew what was on the line today. And that's why you go do business with a guy like Aaron for thick days like today. He's been there, done that guy. But beyond the experience component of it, he relishes it. You can just tell. And that's the benefit of having a guy like AR.
When you said you knew you were going to need to be more aggressive with the deep passing coming in, did you take that mindset in at the beginning of the week? Was that something you spent more extra time on?
Yes.
How did that play out through the week of practice? Did you feel, did you see the response from the guys? Did you like what you saw?
Practice is just that. It prepares you for play, and so we were reserving judgment until we got in stadium.
Coach, only 34 yards rushing today, but you were able to stretch the field a number of times. Do you feel that since you were able to stretch the field today, that maybe moving forward that would help your run game?
They smashed us today. I got to give them credit. We weren't able to get it going the way that we desired, and then certainly as attrition set in, we weren't able to maintain their run, and that's what made the game as tight as it was.
Anyone else?
You had sat Roman Wilson say because of the veteran receivers. What went into that decision?
Exactly what you said, because of the veteran receivers.
What did you see out of Field and MVS in their first opportunity to shift?
I appreciate their efforts, man. I think their experience showed, but certainly maybe with another week, man, it's reasonable to expect it to be better.
The Ravens defense was, they've been playing a lot better than they were at the beginning of the season. What would allow you guys to maybe pass the ball down the field so well today?
I'm not going to speak for those guys. I was just talking about our mindset and what we desire to get done, and largely, particularly in the passing game, I think we were able to do so.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, that's Mike Tomlin following the game, talking about Joey Porter knocking that ball away, although I'm not quite sure it was that so much as likely just lost possession of it for whatever. But still, good hustle on his part. Because earlier in the game, Porter had committed a penalty on a 3rd and 8 play that led to a Baltimore touchdown. It was illegal touching your hands or something of that nature. But whatever the case was, he overcame that at the end of the game.
Maybe he didn't knock the ball out, but the pressure, right? Grabbing his arms, reaching around with his right arm, putting that pressure on that hand kind of made the movement of his hands likely dropping that ball. That was a huge play in this game. And if you think about it, that would have put the Ravens in the lead and the onus on the Steelers to drive down the field and score. So the Steelers' offense went 3 and outs the last 3 drives of the game. And so they were struggling to move the ball. The Ravens defense really stepped up the intensity and the pressure they put on that offense.
So a guy who's in there every single week and does something. We were talking about Steeler MVP potential candidates. Yeah. Ken Gainwell has to be one of them. He has been really good. He's one of their top receivers out of the backfield, and every time you seem to make a play, he's in the middle of it. We'll take a break. We have more coming up, including player interviews. Rich Walsh is in that locker room. We'll turn those around for you as soon as we can. The Steelers win today, 27-22 to move to 7-6. Baltimore, that's a tough loss now, and they have a tougher schedule, at least when you look at the numbers, than the Steelers do. Steelers will play next Monday night at home against the Miami Dolphins, who've been on a heater. We'll talk about that and more as we continue right here on the Ford Extra Point, KDKA TV.
Welcome back to the Ford Steelers Extra Point.
All right, welcome back. We continue. Steelers get the win. They had some big plays today going down the field right off the bat. And DK Metcalf had a huge game when you think about it. 7 catches for 148 yards. He was one of the big reasons why they won this game today. Finally unlocked him a little bit. The playoff implication of this game is significant because it took the Steelers from the in the hunt, and they moved them into the number 4 seed. At this point, it's 7-6. And you see, right now, Buffalo is trying to overcome New England. That's a tough division. They're going to play coming up here, and that's going to be an interesting game. Denver has the number 2 spot. Now it's Jacksonville. They moved to number 3, and they did so by beating Indianapolis on a day where Daniel Jones looked to suffer an Achilles injury. He was in a lot of pain, so frustrated on the field. And then the Steelers at the 4th seed, and you see the wild card is going to go right down to the wire there. Houston has a big game with Kansas City tonight, and the Chiefs really need to win that game. Houston's been playing well. Baltimore, Miami, and Cincinnati now need to really get hot and hope for some things to happen. So, Chris, again, I mentioned the schedule's coming up. The Steelers have Miami. Then they have Detroit, which is not going to be easy in Detroit, the way they play. Cleveland on the road, Baltimore at home.
All tough games.
All tough, but Baltimore has a tougher road, though. They got to have Green Bay in there and some other significant games. So I think this game was so important, but it still very well could come down to that last game of the year.
Well, what team are we going to have every Sunday showing up for the Steelers? Is it going to be the team that showed up today that fought their tails off in Baltimore, a very difficult place to play, or the ones that we saw the last 2 weeks? So if the Steelers continue to come out and fight like they did today, pushing the ball down the field, playing defense the way they did today, they will be able to finish this thing up strong. But some very, very difficult games. Remember, division games, right? The Miami Dolphins that are upstart and really playing well, and the Lions are very, very physical playing on their turf. That's just a tough final 4 games of the season.
We'll see, but it started today with a tough one. It won't get any tougher than this. DK Metcalf at the podium right now. Let's take you here from number 4.
I think we just knew what was at stake, first place for the division, and we knew we were coming in facing a good team, and they had just come off a loss as well, so we know we were going to get their best shot. But I think we had a great practice all week. We were on all the details throughout the whole week, and I think that it came to fruition out there on the field.
What were you guys saying to each other about how to approach this game during the week?
I just felt it. Everybody kept talking about the rivalry between the Steelers and the Ravens, and that's all that needs to be said. Mike T would show old clips of the previous years and how the games came down to last second plays made by our team. But I think we just knew what was at stake, and that's what happened.
They came out attacking right off the bat with the deep ball, and then even started the second half. Was that part of the plan, to just attack them and be aggressive all day?
Yes, sir. And then I think we all got our opportunities downfield and got our opportunities to make plays, and when the ball was in there, we capitalized on it.
It's one thing to decide you want to throw the ball deep a lot, but you guys executed at a really high level. What were the details that you feel like you did right today that you're able to do it on lockdown?
I think just us connecting at practice on Wednesday, Thursday, and even on Friday. The defensive scout team gave us great looks. We were competing all week at practice. And then, like I said, man, we're on all the details, all the checks, all the looks at practice. We were communicating all week. So, I think it was just a perfect storm. For everything to just come together and for us to play a good game like that.
You mentioned Storm. What's it like to get a win like this for Mike Tomlin after kind of the last week or so that he's had that you guys have had?
Yeah, we knew not to pay attention to any outside noise. Like I've said this before, Coach T is a great leader for us, and he's done nothing but take the bullets for us. Even when we're high and when we're low, but he's always come in every day, has been steady and stayed the same, always motivated us to always play our best ball, and that's what he did last week. And like I keep saying, man, we knew what was at stake, first place in this heated rivalry, the better team came on top.
Was it satisfying for you guys to get the win, though, in that way, in the middle of everything?
Oh, yeah. Offense played good. Could still had a little lull at the end there, but for the defense to come up big how they did was amazing.
What's the conversation like?
Mike said earlier that you guys practiced a lot. How much did that first play specifically mean to you guys to look up like that?
Yeah, it was great. Felt great. When I saw Aaron loaded up, I was like, here we go. And that was it. That's all I've been waiting for is opportunities down the field. And we were able to capitalize on that.
Did you sense Aaron more locked in than he normally is?
No, he's always been the same. Every game. But this week it felt different as a team, as a whole. As an offense, we knew what was at stake, and like I said, man, it just felt different this week at practice. Getting off the plane last night, getting here at the stadium, it just felt different.
What about the meeting on Monday that you had in this house with all the Steel people? What was that? I mean, did that serve any extreme purpose, at least help you in this game? What was that all about? What was the impact?
No, I ain't go to the meeting.
What was that?
I ain't go to the meeting on Tuesday. No. I meet with Aaron and Art on Tuesday morning, so I ain't go to that meeting.
What's the conversation?
All right, that's DK Metcalf, and his day was a good one. 7 catches, 148 yards there. You see the targets, they were looking for him, no question, down the field. And I got to say this about his performance today. Not only was he really running extra hard after plays broke down, but Aaron Rodgers also made things happen. I talked about Fountain of Youth. He was rolling left, right, trying to buy time, and in 2 of those plays, one of 41 yards, one of 28 yards, it was because of his ability to keep a play alive.
He looked possessed today, Aaron Rodgers, right? And look at DK Metcalf. You knew that they were forced to pushing the ball to him early and often. On that first drive by when they went down and scored, they went to DK Metcalf every single pass. And so they had intentions to go out and go after him. That's why he had 7 catches for 148 yards. One thing I'd like to see him catch the ball cleanly. A couple of times he juggled the ball, and he could have gotten additional yardage. Right, it slows you down when you catch the ball and you're able to put your foot in the ground and go. He did it a couple of times. They were that one catch on the sideline, the big 41 yard catch. It was a bobble. So I'd like to see him catch it cleanly, which would help him with his run after catch.
There's also a combat catch in the end zone. He had his
another
hands
one
on
too.
it, and you just couldn't secure it, although that was a good defensive play, I thought, by Marlon Humphrey as well. So they need DK Metcalf to be that player. That's why they gave him the big contract. They want big chunk yards, and they saw it today. After going almost a month without one, they got 5 of those over 20 yards today, and one was also to Calvin Austin, who made a good contribution here today. They need guys to step up. A little surprising, Roman Wilson did not dress today. Instead, they had two of the veterans they just acquired to come in there, and I'm not sure what role they play. Thielen got one catch. I didn't see anything for Valdez-Scantling, but he's out there, and so I would assume they're going to play more as this goes on.
I think the size is a factor too, Bob. When you look at how big MVS is and you see how big Adam Thielen is, these are big guys and big presence, and their reputation precedes them, and so they're going to get more attention than Wilson will. They're going to get more attention than Austin III will. And so when you put those guys out there, it frees up on the other side where DK is, and they can't give him so much attention. They also got to keep their eyes on those veterans.
Walter Payton, Man of the Year nominee for the Steelers, is Alex Highsmith. He ended the game today with a sack, and it was a big one to get Lamar Jackson down. Let's hear from him in the locker room.
We just got to stack. We got to stack this performance. We know we've like I said, it's been up and down. We haven't been able to stack wins, so we got to stack wins. But we've continued to stay at it. The Lord's always faithful, so we just got to keep pushing and keep going.
You guys were really tested in that fourth quarter. We held them to 2 field goals and then obviously 2 stops late. What went into that performance like when things don't normally go that way?
Yeah, I think just knowing how much we needed this win. I think we did a good job of just bowing up. They were to get down to the red zone on those drives, and so just shout out to all the guys. Had a bunch of guys making plays tonight, and so they were able to go out there and just we were able to get the job done when we needed it. So it wasn't perfect at all. We still give a lot of rushing yards, a lot of things we can get better at. So just a collective winner. So I'm proud of these guys.
Alex, what was not riding that roller coaster, the ups, the downs, the wins, the losses? How do you stay so even keeled when you have such a bad loss last week, coming on a win, and then heading in?
Just the love of football. There's going to be circumstances. There's going to be times when it's not going well. The past couple of weeks didn't go well for us, but we got a lot of guys in this locker room that love football and love to play this game. And so, whenever you have a love for football, it's not you're unwavered by circumstances. And so, I think for us, we just got to continue to build. And we got to stack another one.
Alex.
All right, that's Alex Highsmith, one of the heroes of this game, and so was Aaron Rodgers, who came out and really made a statement early in this football game, had a good first half. He's speaking right now live in Baltimore. Let's take you there.
Well, I hate to sound like a broken record, but it's all about practice. When you go out there and execute in practice like we did this week, it gives you the confidence to be able to make some of those plays. And I thought it was our most crisp week of preparation on the field. I think off the field we've been really good, but I thought the energy was good. Not a big believer in coincidences, so I got to think that just Marquez and Adam out there, made a difference from a professionalism standpoint. Not saying those other guys don't have professionalism. I love Gal and Roman and all of our other guys, but I just think there was an extra level of focus this week, and then Art wanted to be aggressive on the first play. As you guys were talking about, we hadn't completed a pass, over 20 yards in a while. And took a shot. DK got it, and then he was kind of on one. But he was on one in practice on Thursday. And then he was on one in practice on Friday. So love that from our guy. I think he even ran down on a punt. So proud of DK, proud of our defense standing up there at the end, and that the offensive line dominated line of scrimmage. From a pass game standpoint, we didn't run it very well. But when we had to have some conversions on third down, we made some plays.
Aaron, what does it do for confidence when you hit that first big one?
We did it against Cincinnati as well on the first third down. It wasn't the first play of the game, but I just like Art's kind of focus. He wanted to be aggressive throwing the ball. And I knew it was going to be a lot of different guys. But once DK got going, I just kind of had to keep feeding him, and he had a couple huge plays. And the Lions, in the second half, we've kind of sucked the first possession of the second half coming out, and to start off with a extended pass play, and then DK to keep working and keep working and keep working and have a big play, get us down there, get a field goal, and go down and score a touchdown. That was 2 good drives for us to start the half.
Yeah, you were 1 yard in the second half because you've had some walls after halftime. If you came out and were aggressive and hit those big passes, how important that for your confidence to get that?
Yeah, it's important. We've talked about how many 3 and outs that we've had starting the second half, and when you're trying to defer, that first possession in the second half is very important, especially if they went down and got 6 there at the end of the first half, to be able to put it back to 2 scores. Now they went right back down and scored, but then the most important drive of the game was that response that we had to get it back to 27-16 which was a lot of different guys. I believe it was that drive where we had a 2nd and 20, I think. Hit DK and then had a conversion. Then they tried to pressure us and dropped 2 guys, really. Pat was wide open. I didn't see him. I just saw Jalen in the flat. And because Pat was so wide open, he was the convoy there to get in the end zone. So proud of our guys.
Aaron, how did it feel? Are you still feeling, because I don't want to use the word nimble here, but you moved around pretty well in this game. There have been other times this season. Do you still feel like that's something that you lead off when you can pull it off?
Yeah, I mean, some games you feel better than others. I was just telling the linemen, you'll understand this when you're 40. Some days you feel better than others. Wake up and there's no specific reason why, Just thinking like, what did I do last night? Did I sleep wrong or whatever? But some days you feel great. Other days you feel maybe just good. Today I felt great. Maybe because it got such a beautiful grass field. But I felt good moving around there. And then to be able to run in a touchdown, it's been a long time there. That was in no way the play at all. It was the play to Jonnu, and the whole left side just caved in. I started running and realized I had 2 larger humans chasing me that I maybe was equal to or slightly faster than. So that was nice to get in the end zone.
And how did it feel going? You talked about during the week.
You're next.
Not being sure if you'd be able to go under center today, and we did. How did it feel going under center, and how did that kind of open up more of the offense that was maybe missing last week?
Yeah, I don't know how much it opened up the offense, but it was important. Only, Brooke, because I don't feel like our action passing game was exceptional today. Our keepers were okay, but just the threat of being under center, I think, was nice to not have to, catch a shotgun snap all day and be able to kind of hear a little better at the line of scrimmage some of the calls that were going on. That was a kind of a slightly rogue decision that I made starting Saturday. But Gabe is a great dance partner when it comes to all things medical, because him and I have a real good back and forth about what we should be doing. And today I just went with a soft cast on there as the bones are healing up, and hopefully I can get out of that at some point.
Aaron, did you see on the reception? Tell us about that play with your catch, strip.
I was trying to bat it down. I was trying to get my hand on top of it and push it down. And when I did, I felt whoever's big paw was there. So I kind of had a David Tyree for a second, and then it was kind of a battle for the football. I didn't realize at the time my knees were down. I was just struggling with it, but he was grabbing on my left wrist, which, And then there was some extracurricular at the bottom of the pile, and I was just pissed jogging off the field, so I'm glad that call went our way.
Aaron, no sacks today. How do you feel that your offensive line did today in pass protection?
I thought the pass protection was excellent. AP went down, and I thought Cookie stepped in and played really well. Obviously we gave him a little help on the first couple of them, but proud of him for stepping in. But the line, really gave me a lot of time today. There were some extensions. I kind of got out of a couple potential sacks, but for the most part, a super clean day. And to still be recovering from my injury and to not really get hit a whole lot. I don't know if I was on the ground one time without being clumsy and falling down. So that's a good day, good feeling tonight. Appreciate those guys, and I really felt the rivalry today and how much it means to both teams and the fans.
What does it mean to get a win like this after the week that you guys have had and the week that kind of Mike Tomlin has had too?
It means maybe you guys will shut the hell up for a week.
Oh, was your cast different, did you say?
Yeah.
That would make a difference, you thought?
Well, not on the reception, no. I mean, Kabola, you can probably tell me this, but I don't feel like I've had a reception for positive yards in my career. I believe that's 3 catches, maybe.
Yeah,
3 catches? Yeah.
2 from Mike's 10.
I wasn't trying to catch the one, I promise.
Oh, was that one?
I wasn't trying to catch that one.
Oh, now, right now.
But I'm glad it wasn't a pick.
As you were watching,
2 more here. 2 more. We got PQ coming in. 2 more.
As you were watching the replay of their play in the end zone, did you think that was going your way, or were you thinking that we got to go out and put together a drive now?
I was thinking we got to put the drive together, and so is Mason. He keeps talking my ear off about different things that we like and he likes and I like, and so he's sitting next to me. Will's on the other side, and Will and I are kind of like tuned into what's going on in the incompletion, and they move the ball back and they're lined up for the next play. And Mason can't believe it because he's been just talking my head off about these random plays, and I'm like multitasking, finding this out, and so we had a good laugh at Mason's expense for that one.
Aaron, the defense. Last one. Defense dealt with a number of injuries. We're on the field for, I think, 21 of the last 24 plays. Just speak to what they gave you today.
Yeah, great effort. I think a lot of guys stepped up with the injuries that we had. Looked like there were 3 or 4 guys that went out. So I'm proud of all those guys, and just the guys that are out there playing, with JP coming up with another huge pick, turnover for us, and Chuck playing a lot of meaningful snaps after not playing a ton of defensive snaps over the last few weeks. Peppers was out there for us. Cole Holcomb was out there for a number of snaps. So proud of those guys. It was an incredible effort down the stretch to hold them on the red zone, and then obviously in the 2-minute come up big with timely highlight play by Alex.
All right,
thanks.
You can tell Aaron Rodgers is a detailed man. He knows everybody, what they do, who comes in.
What a memory.
He does, and it shows up in this play when they play the way they played today. 23 of 34. His number's 284. He outplayed a 2-time MVP. Of course, he's a 4-time, but the most recent 2-time NFL MVP in Lamar Jackson, who struggled today. I thought many times. I still think he's compromised by some sort of injury. He's been dealing with a hamstring. He doesn't seem, there aren't as many design runs that you normally see, and I think the Steelers knew that. They had, Patrick Queen and others spying on him a little bit just to make sure he didn't get out of there, so they controlled him for the most part.
I think the first half they really did a good job of controlling him. Second half is when he came alive, and I thought you saw some vintage Lamar Jackson, and moving the chains, keeping the ball with his feet, being able to get some positive yardage, which really put the Steelers defense on their heels. I mean, Bob, 4 of the last 6 drives of the game, the Steelers gave up points.
Yes.
Right? The big stop on that second to last drive of the game to really stop them in their red zone was a big stop for the Steelers defense. But Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry had their way in the second half of the Steelers defense. So they've got to continue to work on that. They've got to continue to find a way to get stops, meaningful stops in the second half, because over the last month and a half, there's 7 games or so where the Steelers have struggled. That's where they've gotten beat, is in that second half.
Aaron Rodgers made a good point about the offensive line. They were out Broderick Jones, and then his backup, Andres Peat, goes out with a concussion, and that means Dylan Cook has to come in. Yeah. They did give him some help, but overall, they did a very good job with their offensive line in protecting Aaron Rodgers today. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we're going to shift it over to the defensive side. They were on the field a lot today. They made some plays when they had to, enough to survive and advance as the Steelers win 27-22 to take the lead, sole possession, first place in the AFC North. We'll continue right after this.
Steelers Extra Point is brought to you by Chafin Luhana, doing good by doing right.
Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke back with you. Steelers win today. Let's take a look at some of the defensive numbers in this game because they were on the field a lot, and they had some success, the Ravens, against the Steelers defense, but at the end, they made the plays when they had to. Cole Holcomb was in there and did a pretty good job, 9 total tackles. Alex Highsmith, he had 3 tackles for losses in this game and then a sack at the end of it, which was only their second sack of the game. Brandon Eccles had the other one early. Patrick Queen, who was having issues with his hip, you can tell, and somehow came back in the game. That's toughening it up. And then T.J. Watt, no sacks today, but he had 6 tackles. They were running away from him, Chris, but somehow they didn't block him. So he trailed the play and got, Derrick Henry a couple of times where he landed on his back because he was trailing it and closed the gap pretty quickly.
He did. Listen, and Derrick Henry ran hard in the second half. I mean, you saw what he did to Malik, what's his linebacker, 50. They did a great job of running hard and just knocked him out of the game. And listen, the reality of this game, Bob, is that the Ravens couldn't make the plays in the final moments. When it's good on good or when it's a rivalry game like this, you have to be able to make big plays in the final minutes of the game. The last 5 minutes is where the game is won, and it was the Steelers who made those plays. Big stops in the red zone, a big walk-off sack, and the Ravens didn't. And it's great to see the Steelers make those plays because they haven't been doing that consistently in 7 weeks.
Well, I'll tell you, defensively, too, they got a couple of guys who stepped up today. You heard Aaron Rodgers talk about James Pierre. He makes plays. It was a bad throw by Jackson, but he was there to intercept it. That turned into points. Yeah. And then Brandon Eccles, he had a pass defense early in the game, which was a big one, and then he came came in with an 8-yard sack. So those guys chipping in whenever they can.
They really did chip in, and I like to see more out of T.J. Watt. We didn't see a lot of T.J. Watt. He started fast when he was crashing on those runs, but I'd like to see more pressure on the quarterback, more sacks, where you could feel his presence felt. In games like this is where you need your A players to step and play ball and have some sacks, and we are not seeing that in these big games from T.J. Watt. And so that's one of the things that we're going to need to see in this last month of the season, because all these games, I believe, are going to come down to the final moments, because every single game matters, and that's where your big-time elite players like T.J. Watt have to make big plays in those moments.
Joey Porter Jr. had that big play at the end on Isaiah Likely, who looked to have a touchdown, and then it gets away from him, and that turned everything around. Let's hear from JPJ after the game.
I'll just keep fighting for the ball to come out. It was really up to the ref to decide if that was a touchdown or not. I'm just happy they picked no touchdown.
I mean, how much was it for you guys to get kind of like a walk-off?
Man, we needed it. It wasn't perfect, but we got the job done. We counted on each other when we needed each other most, and we came out with the win. So, we're all happy about it.
What does this win mean for you guys after the week that you've had, the week that Mike Tomlin's had, especially with all the outside noise and everything that happened the last home game?
Yeah, like I said earlier in the week, we're really not worried about the outside noise. We know what we got in this room, and we know what kind of coach we have. So we were just really focused on getting this W and coming in their trap and taking it over, and we did that. So, man, we're just happy and on to the next.
What was his message to you guys after the game there?
Play his theme music, and that was it.
Joey, considering what happened last year, do you just feel so much better against this team and it was so much right now?
Yeah, last time we came here, we didn't get the win. It was in the playoffs, so we got that bad taste out of our mouth, and we came here and proved them that we could stop the run and we could make some plays on the ball.
You guys were in a decent fourth quarter, but also 2 field goals, got 2 stops. What does it do for this defense to have a win like that?
Like I said all season, we know what we could do and we know what we bring to the table, so we just got to keep that tape hot. We got to all fly around, communicate like always, and just keep putting out plays like that.
So the Steelers take advantage of winning on the road in Baltimore. Every team in that division lost except the Steelers. And in a division that was so clogged up, that's exactly what you needed to have. So the job won't get any easier moving forward. They have some tough opponents, and Miami is next up. And Miami is playing well. They won again today.
They're playing well. Who would have thought a month and a half ago that the Dolphins would be winning games like they are right now, and offense is putting up some points. So the Steelers got to get ready for this game. Monday Night Football, it's going to be a lot of energy over at Acrisure Stadium. So I'm excited for that one. And the Steelers just got to keep taking care of business. Bob, one of the things that I'm looking at here is there's a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. And coming into this game, the Steelers defense had played over 150 more plays than the Steelers offense. That's a lot of plays. And then today, again, they played 26 more plays than the offense. You're putting almost 3 additional games on the Steelers defense, and that's why you're seeing some breakdowns there in terms of big plays, in terms of wearing down late in the game, but also you're seeing that injuries on the Steelers defense because of so many plays. Your body just can't hold up when you're playing 3 additional games after 13 games.
All right, we'll talk about that final scoring drive for the Steelers that won it for them, the one that resulted in the Warren wide open 38 yards into the end zone, and also an interesting call on a field goal the Steelers had made, but they took the points off the board and then scored a touchdown. I'm going to get Chris's input on that play because it was very confusing to me on what they called. It wasn't a leverage play, but it was something else involving, obviously, the center at that time. We're going to talk about it. 27-22, your final score. That's coming up. More post-game reaction from Baltimore next.
Welcome back to the Ford Steelers Extra Point.
We'll be taking your calls here shortly in a special edition of the Sports Call and more reaction along the way. But first, we had some interesting news last night. A man by the name of Lincoln Hoke got awarded the Bill Fralick Memorial Award. Yes, that's the son of my co-host here who had a really good career at North Allegheny, and you see him in play. Chip off the old block. Chris, you have to be very proud of your son and what he's been able to do.
Very proud of him. You're going to get me crying here on TV, but I'm just so proud of Lincoln. He's worked so hard. He's earned everything he's gotten in his high school career, and yesterday was a really emotional day where he won the award for the best lineman in Western Pennsylvania. And really grateful for Coach Art Walker, for Coach Burns, for what they've done for Lincoln at North Allegheny High School. I'm just so excited to watch him go to Pitt. I'm really excited for him to play for Pat Narduzzi and play for Tim Doust. They've done a great job of recruiting. Tim Doust is a heck of a defensive line coach. And it's a great fit for Lincoln there in that scheme that they run there with Coach Bates.
So I want to ask you, he's now Hokie Bro 76. Same 76,
yeah.
Right?
I'm still the real 76.
You're the real 76.
But he's doing a good job. And listen, I'm just so proud of him. He's a kid that's always put in the extra work. You know, my 2 older boys, great kids, but, you know, they would take or leave some of the things that I would give to them when they were playing ball. He ate everything up. He would come home from practice and he would ask me questions. He'd want to know certain blocks, how to react to certain things. He wanted to know my in-helmet perspective. Every Saturday morning we'd watch film together. I'd get up and break down the film and we'd walk through plays. He was just a student of the game, and it showed on Friday nights.
Well, congratulations to Lincoln. Job well done. Before we go here into our next program, I want to ask you about this is a significant play in this game too, because the Steelers had just kicked a 32-yard field goal by Chris Boswell, which would have made the score 13-3. The points were on the board, but then there was an unnecessary roughness call on Jones of the Ravens, and I looked at that play. It wasn't a leverage call. I'm not sure what they called. Do you agree with that call? Because what happened is the Steelers took the points off the board and they go and score a Gainwell touchdown, so it's a 4-point swing.
I really don't agree with that call. Gene Steratore didn't agree with that call either. I thought that was tough. There's only, for me, with the long snapper, there's 2 penalties that really can go against a defense. It's that when you line up over the long snapper, Christian Coots, or when you snap the ball and you go right at him and you beeline at him like a pinch. That's what they were saying, that the 2 tackles went right at him and beelined at him. I thought they went through the inside shoulder, the A gap, and then they just happened to slide down into the Christian Kuntz. Tough call against the Ravens, because what happened was, like you said, Bob, it went from a 13-3 game to a 17-3 game. A lot of things like this happened against the Ravens that went in favor of the Steelers. And so the Steelers got to be feeling really good coming out of this game after how it unfolded there in the second half.
All right, let's take a trip ahead down the road. It's the Ford Road ahead. This is what the Steelers have left to round out the regular season. Again, next Monday night at Acrisure Stadium, it's the Dolphins coming here. They've been hot, and they still have wild card aspirations. Then it's a trip to Detroit, a 4:25 game at the Lions. You know they're capable of doing a lot of things offensively, so they'll be tested in that game. Then it's at Cleveland on December the 28th, and the Browns have always given the Steelers problems before the Ravens come here, either July 3rd or 4th. And while that's going on, the Ravens, in case you're wondering, they have Cincinnati, then they have Green Bay, New England. Those are tough games. 2 teams that are really good before the return trip to Pittsburgh for the Ravens.
Something tells me in my gut it's going to come down to that January 3rd or 4th game, that first week of January, to decide who goes in the playoffs. I don't think that they're both going to go, Bob, just because of the records. I think it's going to be either or, and it's going to come down to that final game of the season, exactly what the NFL wants.
And right now, the Steelers have that position. It's the 4th seed overall, which carries with it a home field advantage game in the first round of the playoffs if they hang on to it. We have a long way to go, but it's a good win for the Steelers, who are now 7-6 on top of that division. When we come back, we're going to take your phone calls. We want to hear what you have to say now at 412-575-2600. It's a special Steelers edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Nightfall in Baltimore, and right now, Baltimore is down in the standings by 1 game to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thanks for joining us. Your calls are coming up next.